going off on a tangent. So, hi, welcome to Shit That Matters.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me on.
Yes.
Shit, that matters.
Yes. So, do you want to introduce yourself? Give us a little
Sure.
background about. Yeah.
Sure. My name is Lynn Hy, and I'm the Chief Development Officer at Food Bank of CNY. I've been there for 12 years. Prior to that, I was in the nonprofit world here in Syracuse. I worked at the Salvation Army.
Okay.
And prior to that, I didn't live here. I lived in Buffalo, where I went to school and kind of worked for a few years after college. But I imported my husband to Syracuse. We live in Westville. We have a 9-year-old, and I love what I do.
Nice. Wow.
Okay.
Why nonprofit all the time? What was your major in college?
Well, my major in college was sports management.
So
don't
no
you
one in
see-
sports management college majors. All my friends, my son's friends majored in sports management. None of them are doing sports management.
I did. The first
wow.
job I had out of school, I worked for the Buffalo Sabres.
Oh, nice.
And I worked for the Buffalo Sabres. I interned for a few years, and then when I graduated, they hired me. I worked there officially for 4 years. After I left, and I went to a nonprofit, actually a foundation in Buffalo, and they hired me back to do a couple like event planning things for them at the Sabres, and then we left the community and we moved back to Syracuse. And then I got into, honestly, it was not so much that it was a nonprofit when I saw the job open for the Salvation Army, but it was an events job.
Okay.
So like an event planner, and that really a lot of what I was doing at the Sabres, I was planning their events that they would hold for the community, and they would benefit the different nonprofits in Buffalo, on top of the game day stuff that I did. So yeah, it's weird. Like people are like, "Oh, do you have a degree in nonprofit management?" I'm like, "No, sports," because that makes sense.
Yeah.
Do you miss Buffalo? Great restaurants in Buffalo.
Great
Oh my-
restaurant. Oh my
Pizza
God.
Plant. Do you ever have the
Oh
pods?
yeah,
I
pizza.
love the
plant.
pods.
You know what my thing was? Is because it was near the arena. We used to go to Chef's Italian. It was an Italian restaurant.
I don't know
And they
Chef's.
have. I want maybe you can make it. I want what they have. It's called spaghetti parm. So it's
Oh,
a-
okay. I've seen
the
that. Yes,
very
yes, yes,
lightly
yeah.
sauced spaghetti, and then they just top it with mozzarella cheese, and they put it in and they broil it so it gets like crispy and delicious, and then it's served with a side of sauce. So then you can kind of sauce as you're going along.
Oh.
And it's like Chef's is an institution in Buffalo. I was in Buffalo this weekend actually because we went
nice.
to the Sabres game.
Oh, nice. Oh, you still.
Did you go to
support-
Chef's?
We did not go to Chef's because
Where'd you go?
We went to JP Fitzgerald's. It's down in Hamburg.
I know
it's
where that
kind of like
is,
an
yeah.
Irish
Yeah,
pub
yeah.
right in the village of Hamburg. It's near where friends of ours that we were going out with. It's near where they live, so they suggested to go there. So we just went there. It was a quick trip up. I think that was the only dining out that we had, except for like hotel breakfast.
Oh, yeah.
But
Salvatore's? Do you stay at Salvatore's?
we did not this time, but we have. We actually
Place
stayed
is
in.
amazing. Oh my
It's so ornate and crazy, like the mirrors and the decorations that are everywhere. I've been to several weddings that were. Actually, one of the weddings was actually in the hotel, like in that kind of like main space, and then the reception was down at Salvatore's down the street there on Transit.
Is that a restaurant? Or
Yeah.
It's a hotel.
It's a hotel. It's a restaurant.
It's like
they have
Vegas.
They have an event space. It's very ornate.
Oh,
The
okay.
entire. If you look up Salvatore's Italian Gardens in Buffalo, and it's very.
All the rooms are like 1980s-ish. They have have hot
Nice.
tubs and stuff.
Oh yeah. Oh
We
yeah.
used to have
that's
our
fun.
Christmas party there every year, and one of the funny stories was we'd have a Christmas party there for a company I worked for, and Joe Salvatore was, we worked with a bunch of independent restaurants. He was one of our board members. Great guy, gave us a deal. We'd have a great party, drinks and stuff, and my wife and I go back to the room, and we get a suite and, the hot tub and stuff. So you wake up and the room is big, and so when you wake up, everyth's mirrored.
Everything, even the headboards.
Everything's mirrored. Mm-hmm. So
Oh, I
when
hate
you walk
that.
around the corner, the showers, it's the only shower I've ever seen. So when you walk in, it's a walk-in shower, and there's a thermostat on the wall that you push the button to get the temperature to go up and down.
That is my favorite thing about Salvatore's is being able to control the temperature because I like a really hot shower.
So Kim gets
Oh.
up at 3 o'clock in the morning to go to the bathroom. I'm passed out, and I hear her screaming. I'm like, what's the matter? She woke up and naked, underwear or whatever,
Right.
started to walk into the bathroom and thought somebody naked was in the room with her.
Oh my
Looking at
God.
her in the mirror.
Oh my God.
That's
That's
hilarious.
awesome.
Oh my gosh, but they're amazing, amazing place. Buffalo's great.
Yeah, no, they have a really great restaurant scene. It was funny, and when I asked them, if I was my choice, I probably would have picked Chef's just because for nostalgia purposes. But I said I don't know any places, but I haven't lived in Buffalo in 20 years. I don't know the places anymore. of where to go. I know there's some there. Like, did you ever work at Mother's or work?
Oh,
with
I know
Mo-
where Mother's is.
I
Yes, yes,
loved
that's another
Mother's.
good place.
That was
yes.
a place that we went to all the time. It was one
There's
of my
some
favorites.
great little, because, you think it's like Syracuse. You say Syracuse, you say Buffalo, but there's Hamburg, there's Tonawanda, there's
Right.
other area, there's, Lewiston, there's different places out there. Same as Syracuse is Fayetteville, Liverpool, whatever.
Yeah.
So just because you say Buffalo, there's still little hamlets
Yeah.
where there's some great, cool places.
There are.
Probably more than here. Buffalo's bigger than Syracuse.
bigger.
Way
right?
big, way
Yeah,
bigger.
way
Yeah,
bigger.
it's way larger. And talk about urban sprawl.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
where I feel like Syracuse is the 15-minute community. You can kind of get anywhere in 15 minutes. In Buffalo, it's like 25.
Did you
I'm not
find
familiar
people out
with
there
Buffalo at all.
were giving
Yeah,
more than Syracuse? So you've had a community of Buffalo where you're looking for donations?
Right. So it was kind of a different scenario though. Like here, I don't have a hockey player that everybody wants to meet that I can kind of,
Yeah.
get out there into the community to say, hey, come meet. When I was there, Michael Pekka, who played here in Cuse, or Dominic Hasek, one of the best goaltenders
yeah,
you're ever
yeah,
going to
yeah.
see. I had those guys at my disposal, so it was kind of a different ask. It was more of people were paying to have that nearness to the players. Where here it's I'm asking for donations because you really truly believe in having food access for our neighbors.
The
that are-
Crunch don't help. They're pretty giving. Or the Syracuse University.
Yeah, so we do. We partner with everybody. The Syracuse Mets, actually, the Amazing Mets Foundation. During the pandemic, Jason Smorl and I were kind of talking on a very regular basis because, he wanted to know what he could do, what he should do. And then finally he called me up one day and he goes, we need to ask the Amazing Mets Foundation for something. So it's the foundation out in New York City. And he's like, it's going to be a big one. What do you got that's big? And at that time I needed another 26-foot straight truck, refrigerated straight truck. So, it's a 6-figure ask.
Oh shit.
And I said, what do you think about this? And he goes, yeah, let's ask. So they funded the entire truck for us.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
Yeah,
Amazing.
Amazing Mets.
Amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
The Amazing
Holy-
Mets.
Holy shit.
That's what it's
awesome.
actually like.
Yeah.
I feel weird calling it, but that's actually the name of the foundation. It's
Yeah,
Amazing
yeah.
Mets Foundation.
Yeah.
And so now we still do, like every year, there's a big push to support the food bank. And we try and fill the truck with food donations over a weekend, series. We'll be there Friday, Saturday, Sunday night. And
Do you feel it? Do you guys?
we've never filled it completely, but I was very surprised with how much that we did get.
That's good.
Which is great because by the time we got the truck, because the lead times on trucks right now is like a year. So by
Yeah.
the time we got this past summer was the first time we did it. So
Oh,
we'll
okay.
do it. But we already talked about doing an annual thing. And
Yeah.
during the pandemic, we actually did one of our 1,000 household food distributions in their parking lot at MBT Bank Stadium.
Oh,
So people
nice.
could come there and grab what they needed. and-
Exactly. Like we had pre-packed boxes of food that it was mostly fresh produce and then fresh dairy items. So people were getting like milk and cheese and cases of Chobani yogurt.
Wow.
Because we try and do as much local as we can. And there's actually a state program that gives us additional dollars to purchase local, like New York State grown and produced food called Nourish New York. So the Mets have been a great partner. The Crunch, we do different things with the Crunch throughout the year. And Syracuse University, different times, we've done different activities with them.
So, okay, so food, so this was my next question. So you have partnerships with like a lot of local organizations that help you fund or help you provide things, but then you also
Right.
have community partners that help distribute food.
Yes, so we'll talk about the distribution piece
Yeah.
first, because that's when people go, well, where does the food from the food bank go? So we work in 11 counties. So we're in Central New York, Northern New York, Mohawk Valley. And in those 11 counties, there's almost 400 programs. So that's the individual food pantries, soup kitchens, emergency shelters. And they're the ones that are accessing the food at the food bank. Because we're just a big warehouse. I like
Yeah.
to say right down the street from where we are. We look like Costco, kind of on the inside. It's just floor to ceiling, pallets and pallets of food. But that's the beauty of a food bank. We're able to accept in millions of, like we probably have 2 million pounds of food maybe at the food bank right now, but that we're allowed to, we have that space that we can take in truckloads of food, whether it's USDA food commodities, a donation, or it's us purchasing the food. So then we acquire it, we warehouse it, and then the individual pantries are going to go out and they'll order what they need to fill their shelves. So it might just be a case. It might be 3 or 4 cases, but a lot of the stuff we get is donated, but even when we're purchasing, we're able to get that bulk discount because I'm purchasing a truckload of a cereal or a peanut butter or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's kind of that distribution piece. And last year in 2022, we distributed 17.9 million pounds of food in those 11 counties through those 400 agencies. And then that acquisition, I kind of talked about it a little bit, where we're getting USDA food commodities. We're getting those partnerships that we have with food manufacturers and distributors. They'll donate. One of our main donors, like subset, I guess we'll call it, of donors, are retail partners. So we work with about 96 different retail locations.
Like a Wegmans?
Wegmans, Walmart, Costco, Sam's Club, BJ's, so on. And we'll go to the different stores. Some of them we'll go to 5 days a week, like a Wegmans in DeWitt. They have so much. We go 5 days a week. Some of the stores that maybe don't have as much product, we will go a few days a week. And what we do is they're pulling things off the shelves, and we all do it. So like, I'm going to get a bag of salad for my home, and I'm going to look at that date, and and if that date is 2-3 days away, I'm going to go to the back, right? Because that date in the back is going to be much further. Everybody does that. The stores know this. So instead of letting this stuff kind of go past that date on the shelves, it's kind of very still good food, but it's unsaleable, they call it. They'll pull it off the shelves, they throw it in boxes, and we pick it up. That food then is going to go straight to one of those programs that we work with, or it's going to come back to the food bank, and that's when the volunteers come in, and we sort through it all, we box it up, and then we get it back out within a day.
Nice.
If not quicker, back out into the community, so that really healthy, nutritious food, because it's mostly produce, some dairy items, those foods that people who are stretching their budget dollars, they're not going to purchase, because I can get 6 boxes of mac and cheese for $2, or I can get like 1 tomato for $2. So if I'm trying to feed a family, even though this is the healthier item, that 6 boxes of mac and cheese, unfortunately, is going to go further. So those are all the types of things. So it's really important.
But you're not
to us.
cooking any food. It's all.
We're not cooking. The only time that there's a cooked food that's in relation to the food bank is in one of our child nutrition programs. Well, 2. Our Kids Cafe and our summer food service program. So Kids Cafe, we partner. It's strictly in Syracuse City, and we work with Syracuse City Parks and Rec that have after-school programs. And we work with Boys and Girls Clubs and some other sites that are catering to low-income children, and we'll provide a nutritionally balanced hot dinner for those kids before they leave the program. We work with a third-party vendor on getting those foods and making that nutritionally balanced meal. We pick it up with the milks and all that kind of stuff, and then we'll deliver it to each site.
Somebody
every day. Somebody else is preparing that. We're just picking it up, and then
locally.
it's a company called Advanced Meal. They're out of Loretto.
Okay.
They're like
cool.
a division of Loretto.
Yep.
But they'll work with us. They've been our partner for years. But they'll work with us on what that healthy meal is, and that we so that we can mix it up. And if we get feedback from sites that lots of the kids aren't eating it because they don't like it, then we know, like, all right, so let's try something else, because that community data and voice that comes back to us is really important, because we always look at it and say, if we're giving out a jar of peanut butter and that family has a peanut allergy, it's helping no one.
Right.
So really, what we're going to be looking, and we're in year 1 of our strategic plan, but that's really incorporating more of that community voice as much as possible, in addition to the data that we're going to be able to get
You can't
through.
feed them all spaghetti parm.
Right.
As much as you'd like to, but
Exactly. I mean, but there's health related issues that we need to be taking into consideration. There's cultural food preferences. But there's just so many things, and just.
How many people you think you feed?
So,
I didn't see it.
well, that is the food insecure number. 162,000 people are what are deemed. So based on paper, they're food insecure. They don't.
What's food insecure mean?
So they don't know where their next meal is coming from.
On a daily basis?
On a daily basis.
Wow.
They don't have, another definition of it is they don't have the nutritional components within their house on a regular basis to have enough food and meals for
Is
themselves.
that like talking homeless people too, or are you talking people that live in a brick and mortar, have a job, have all combined?
It encompasses all. And, but then there's people, and that number is just like a 1 point in time number that ebbs and flows. And actually, that number came when the data was probably maybe 6 months into COVID, and you're going, well, so is this higher or lower? And this number is actually lower than the last, because by then the government had put in so many programs to help families that were struggling to get by that we did see the programs did what they were supposed to. We saw that food insecurity rate go down, because at the start of COVID, the number had ballooned up to an estimated like 220,000 people. And then
Holy
after these
cow.
government programs, and prior to that, it was about 180. So after these government programs were going into effect, you saw the number come down. And you know what? We saw the same thing at the food bank. We were having record numbers of distribution. In June of 2020, we distributed 2,596,000 pounds of food.
Holy cow.
That was the most we've ever in our 37-year history. Well, at that time it was 35,
Yeah.
but now 37.
Yeah.
But that was the most, and but we've seen since then, we've seen it go down every month until recently.
So, because people at the start of COVID started just donating if they could, is that what you mean?
Well, we were getting more donations, and yes, but the need was
need
out
was-
there.
okay.
So that was 2.6 million, 2.6 million distributed out into the community.
Okay.
Where on it, like, I don't have the number yet for January, but I heard it's going to be about 1.5 to 1.6-ish.
Okay.
Which is more than last year in January of that time. But again, in January of last year, there were still some of those government programs. There's one government program that's still out there right now that it's going to end at the end of this month in February here, where
What program is that?
it's a SNAP benefits program. So
Okay.
SNAP is food stamps.
Yeah.
So families have been getting like a maximum allotment.
Okay.
And at the end of this month, it's going to go down. They're not going to get that maximum allotment anymore. So I believe the number on average is per person, per household that receives SNAP benefits, it's going to be about $80 less a
Well,
month.
it's hard to take something away from somebody once they have it.
It is.
It's easier not to get it than to have it and then have somebody take it away.
Right.
That's
So
challenging.
It is challenging. So we've been preparing for that, by making
80
sure.
that's a lot.
It is.
Yeah.
Per month.
It is.
Per
Well,
person.
because if you think you have family of four, that's $320
Yeah.
of food that you were able to get before that you're not, and you're going, how am I going to get that?
Yeah.
Because most likely somebody's, their financial situation hasn't changed.
Yeah.
Probably gotten worse
And the
in some
price
cases.
of food has gone up so much
Right.
significantly. And even the price of gas, while it's come down from the highs, it's still high. So families are really, it's going to affect.
15 million meals.
15
almost.
million meals last year in 22.
That's 15 million meals that people wouldn't have ate because they wouldn't have had
Correct.
the ability to eat.
Right.
It's not like you gave them a better meal than they were going to get. It's literally a meal that they wouldn't have gotten.
Wouldn't have gotten.
That's just scary to think that you take for granted that you go that you got something. I'm hungry. I microwave a bag of popcorn or grab a piece of chicken.
Right.
Or call the
Yeah.
store and
I
take
think
it for
people
granted.
feel like it's far away too. Like they're donating and it's like not our community, but
Right.
like it
Yeah.
is.
It is. There's, you can't name a community that you would think of that doesn't have here, I'm just going to say it, Skinny Alice. You're not thinking anybody in
Yeah.
Skinny, they have a food pantry there.
Yeah.
They
I
have,
grew up in Oswego County, very poor
oh,
county.
very poor county.
Altmar, Williamstown area, and it's.
I believe the APW district has the most food insecure
I believe
children of any district in Oswego County.
I believe it.
Yeah.
APW. That's where I
APW,
went. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
And there's just there's so much, and there's not a community
So
that's not
how do you
spared.
expect a kid to make new friends, to study, to get by the social things that you have to go through today when they're not eating breakfast or lunch or dinner?
Right. I mean, and that's where the school programs come in. So many school programs, they have that breakfast and lunch.
Do they do like the free lunch and stuff? Is that
So
still part of
that's through the school
School,
district,
right.
right?
The
But
Syracuse City Schools does provide breakfast, lunch, and snack. Am I
Right.
correct?
yeah, I don't know about the snack, but I know they definitely do breakfast and lunch. But that's why we think the Kids Cafe program is very important, because those kids are then going to after school program. So let's make sure that they have dinner.
Yeah.
Because they might not, and you hear about kids that they get a sandwich at lunch, but they're storing half of it away so they know they have dinner.
Wow, man.
Yeah, and then there's the summer food service program as well. So that's, we're looking at Syracuse City School District, they open many of their schools in the summer and provide meals for kids. So where are there programs where there's a lot of high concentrations of low-income families and their kids are going to day programs that they're not providing food? How can we partner with them to provide that food? And we can do that program in more counties. So we're in Onondaga, but we do that in Cayuga County, and then we do it in St. Lawrence and Lewis counties as well.
Jefferson?
Jefferson is one of our counties, but we don't have a program that we're working with in the
I
summer.
imagine Jefferson, Oswego counties are probably different than would be Onondaga County, but Skinny Atlas is what, Cayuga County?
No, they're Onondaga.
Onondaga still?
Yeah, they're still Onondaga. It's on the cusp, but they're still Onondaga.
A buddy of mine's a school teacher in Pulaski, and he told me during COVID that one of the challenges for kids that have free lunch because of their need was when they didn't go to school, they didn't have any way to eat.
Right.
So the school was making the lunches
Yes.
and delivering to the homes. And somebody in Pulaski got arrested. They were following the fucking delivery truck around and stealing the lunches
What?
off the
I
people's.
did not hear this.
This is in Pulaski. This happened in COVID.
Awful.
Like, what kind of a scumbag?
Why? Oh,
I mean, what kind of a scumbag would do that? How
Yeah.
do you?
You have to be probably pretty desperate.
I don't know if it's desperate or just a scumbag. Look, if you need
right. It can be.
food-
It's one or the other.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
But man, you just don't think about it. How you just go to the fridge,
Right. You just go to the fridge and like for a child, I look at it and I go, for a child, how can they learn? And how can they,
Right,
just sit there in school if they can't hear over the grumbling in their
Yeah.
stomach? I think about my son and I just go, I can't imagine if I wasn't able to provide for him. And
Well, it's stress on the parents in most cases too. But
Right.
look, we grew up poor when I was a kid. We had spaghetti with ketchup on it, and we
Yeah.
ate
Well,
cheese sandwiches. We had struggles, man.
right.
And I think too, like, then you think about it, okay, well, I'm a parent, so if I'm going to feed anybody in the house, it's going to be my son. So
Right.
then the parent's
wow.
going to work and they're hungry, and then
Good
how are they
point.
supposed to do a job where they provide for their family when you're
Right.
hungry? Like, you can't. I barely can talk to anybody at work when I'm hungry, let alone having to like do
Imagine
that.
if you didn't have 6 cups of coffee
I
to
know.
start the day. Yeah,
I
oh my gosh, Yeah.
So it's just a whole cycle of
Well, I mean,
just
providing it is great, and I'm not trying to diminish the need of people, but how do you stop the cycle? How do you go from 15 million pounds, no offense, to 10 million pounds because 5 million pounds aren't needed anymore because
Right.
people are finding ways to get a better job or provide better for their family? Is there a means of this? Is it just providing is there a solution?
enter strategic plan, right?
Enter strategic plan. So that is,
You stole my sheet.
but
I
that's
know,
our,
well,
but that's
I can
our
read it, you can't.
community partnerships. So we're the
Oh.
food bank and we focus on food, but we know that that's only one component of it. So who are our strategic partners out there in the community so when a person comes in and they say we need food, what are other resources in the community that we can help them refer them to, get access to, that are going to help them get back on their feet, so that they can address, food and health go hand in hand, don't
Yeah.
they?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that is one of our newest kind of forays into what can we do there? How can we be there? So we all see it. They're building that new family health center across from Upstate, the Nappy Family Health Center. Well, we have some doctors that are so invested in knowing that food is medicine, because without a healthy diet, you can take all the medicines in the world and it's not going to help you.
Right.
There's going to be a food pantry in the
Oh, wow.
within the Family Health Center
That's awesome.
that they're working with us on, that the doctors can do 2 questions. Food insecurity screening, 2 questions, refer them to the pantry so they can get something that day. But then that referral to the food bank, and then we're going to make sure, do they have SNAP benefits? Because SNAP benefits help make families whole. They give them the dollars to go and the dignity to go to the store, get their own foods. But can we refer, because obviously they're getting some health care at that point because they're at the Family Health Center. But do people need HEAP? Do they need, because the more supports that are there for a family, the more they can use their dollars to, whether it's to pay off loans, to pay bills that they have, to get back on their feet. That's the hardest part is
How do you get out of the cycle?
how do you get out of that cycle? And by adding all these supports into somebody's budget, into somebody's household, that should help them be able to get out. And maybe we will be able to go down to 10 million meals. That'd be, excuse me, that'd
Yeah.
be great, but I don't foresee it happening yet.
So
Because it
can I
become-
ask you a question?
Sure.
For people who are like, I guess, a little bit jaded and
Yes.
think that there's like, is there actually any real like statistics on people that take advantage of situations like this?
The take advantage system. So the only statistic that I know off the top of my head is actually for SNAP utilization, which is the one, everyone's always like, well, you hear about all the time on the news that people are misusing it. When you look at that program nationwide, it's less than 1% is actually being misused. And I say, for someone whose husband used to be in the media, I say, well, that makes sense because the media doesn't give you good news, right?
Yeah.
They
Only
just
giving you
talk
bad,
about
yeah.
the bad news.
Yeah.
So you don't hear about, this family over here that needed SNAP benefits because they lost their job. Oh, I got a cough again. Sorry.
Do you want me to get you a glass of water?
No,
We can
I'm fine
pause
now.
for a
I think
second.
it's
Okay.
good.
Okay.
But they got the SNAP benefits during this hard time in their life, and it really helped infuse that household with the dollars they needed to keep healthy food on the table.
Yeah.
And they got through it. And now they're, and there's families like that. And I think about a lot of times, we have a lot of new Americans, refugees and immigrants coming into our community. And a lot, when they first get here, are needing those SNAP benefits and they need to use the services of the food bank. But, after they've been able to establish themselves and they understand better the culture and the norms of our society, which is very different from theirs, they're able to integrate in and start businesses and really succeed and thrive in our community.
Yeah.
Do
And
you-
you
do
hear
you-
about that all the time.
Is there an expiration? Somebody comes in, they can need for a month, a year, 2 years, 5 years, it doesn't matter.
There's no expiration because I don't want to tell somebody that needs food. How am I to know
How long?
how long is somebody need? And like, and I have also heard like, well, they drive a nice car,
Yep.
but maybe the car's paid for. Maybe before they fell in hard times, the car's paid for. Maybe the car was a hand-me-down from somebody in their family that has more funds available to them. You don't know people's circumstances. You don't know what's going on behind closed doors. They have a large healthcare bill. So I look at it, I always look at it in terms of me. 5 years ago, I was diagnosed with breast cancer.
I'm sorry to hear that, yeah.
No, I'm fine. Everything's great. But I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and I have insurance through my husband. He works for the state. Oh my God!
If you
Everything.
hadn't had that,
If everything was paid for, but I saw the bills that were coming in, and I had 16 rounds of chemo. One
gosh.
round was $36,000. So you hear about people delaying and things like that. I mean, if I had to pay a large portion of that, I wouldn't be where I am today.
No. Yeah.
It would be very different. So it's very easy, unfortunately, if you have something that comes up like that, like a
Life-changing.
life-changing cancer diagnosis, that you're going to fall and you're going to end up, owing so much money. And how are you going to dig yourself out from that? So food is that one component, but how can we act as that referral to get people those other services they need so maybe they can get themselves out of the situation that they're in? And it might even be just as they need a new job. They've been laid off or they had a reduction in work hours. That's what we saw during COVID.
yeah, a lot of that.
Yeah, a lot of it. So
Do you see a broad picture, or do you see the faces of the people that are actually?
I'm broad picture. I don't see a lot of the faces that are actually during COVID. I had a little bit more interaction because there isn't a lot of direct distribution that comes out to the food bank. It comes from the food bank, then it goes kind of to the individual food pantry, and then they're getting that kind of individual faces. We have a mobile food pantry program where we'll do truck to trunk delivery still. In many communities, we host that probably 18 to 20 times a month. But myself, I'm more so in my office, talking to people, giving tours of the food bank, working with volunteers, working with events to raise funds and awareness for us. So unfortunately, I don't see
Well,
the
fortunately
individual
and
faces.
unfortunately, I asked,
Yeah.
do you know John Tomino from In My Father's Kitchen?
I know John,
John's
yes.
a great guy. I bring him up on, seems like on every
Every
podcast.
podcast, yeah.
Yeah, but Michelle asked him a great question one time. It was like, how do you go out into because he's way forward facing,
Mm-hmm. Oh,
right?
yeah.
He's seeing the people. How do
he's
you
out there
just,
every day,
how do you
right.
just not get overwhelmed
Or
with the
even
need?
like looking at these statistics. So these statistics for me feel really overwhelming.
Yes, like,
And
oh
they
my
are,
gosh.
they are.
So what's like, how do you, or how does the food bank in general, like look at these and be like, okay, let's not get bogged down by how scary this number is.
Well, we have a great team. I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
go with that. We have an amazing team. Our leadership, Karen, our executive director, she's been with the food bank 22 years.
Oh my God.
Not in the executive director role,
Right.
but at the food bank, moving throughout the organization and moving up. And she really has some great vision as to where we're going to be. And hence this new 5-year strategic
So-
plan that we have.
I'm going to just, for 1 second, is this the first strategic plan that you guys have done, or you do them every 5 years?
No. We have had them in the past.
Okay.
The last strategic plan that we had, it was a 3-year strategic plan, excuse me. And it kind of, we started it and we started some work in it and then
then
COVID
COVID,
hit.
okay.
So it kind of just, COVID.
Changed
It
everything,
was just
yeah.
COVID.
Yeah.
So this was just like, so much happened and so much changed during COVID
Right.
for the food bank. The face of hunger, the programs, just the way that we were starting to look at everything and saying, well, we can do this. Well, we can do this. Let's think about these. And that innovation piece was really kind of bubbling under the surface. And we were talking about things, but there was nothing formal. So at that time, we said, hey, it's time. We need to regroup. We're still in COVID, but we need to regroup and we need to get this new strategic plan and really looking at centering ourselves on those community voices, getting better data so that we can truly make those data-informed decisions on distribution that maybe in the long term are going to reduce the number of pounds. Maybe, how can we do that? We want to meet people where they are because there's barriers and there's perceived barriers to people getting food. So how can we continue to break those down? And this whole strategic plan is about that. I mean, there's some really innovative stuff that's coming up. Some of it is food lockers. So what if the food pantry in your community isn't open when you're able to go because you're working,
Right.
right? So how am I supposed to get food? So one of the ways is maybe our mobile food pantry comes to your community, but that's, once a month or maybe not even that frequency. So could we look at a community and have a food locker? Have you guys been to like a Home Depot or a Lowe's and, you ordered something online and they give you a code and the locker pops open?
Colgate has college has a company out there that was formed by a couple of graduating students that use like their own, it's like a DoorDash Grubhub, but local. And it's a food locker. They have 2 food lockers set up at Colgate campus because the campus is kind of a distance from
Right.
the restaurant. So if it's 10 o'clock at night and maybe they don't have Uber and Lyft drivers, what you can do is say, well, it's 7 o'clock in the morning, or at noon, it's 8 o'clock now, but at 11 o'clock I want to have a sandwich. They have lockers there, and you can call up on this app. Volunteers of kids that work, that get paid, I should say,
Right.
that work at the college, go to the restaurant and pick up the food and bring it to a set of lockers that are installed on campus, and you get a code, and at 11 o'clock your food will be there. You punch in the code and you pick up your food.
So we're
Same idea.
same
Yeah.
idea. So it's not a right now idea, but it's how can we put that infrastructure in to do that? How can we?
Technology.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
And that's the technology piece. I say this is year 5. I love it sooner than year 5, but it probably won't be here before year 5 is, it's called Order Ahead. So very similar to what you described. I call it Instacart for people that need to use a food pantry so that they're getting
Wow,
the foods that they can prepare because not everyone has a full kitchen. They might not have a freezer, so they're not going to get any sort of frozen food. Maybe they have limited refrigeration, cooking things in a microwave. Then they can take into food allergies. How can we do medically tailored boxes of food? These are all things that are coming out over these next, well, now we're at 4.5 years.
Yeah.
Since we're a half year in. But like these are all things that we're going to slowly implement. And part of it, and maybe this is the first time media-wise that I've talked about it, is part of it is going to happen because we're going to break ground soon on an expansion at the food bank.
Nice.
nice.
Yes.
Oh, that's amazing.
About 33,000 square feet.
Ooh,
Yep.
Wow.
that's not
Added,
small.
no,
Wow.
added on to our 74, current 74.
Oh my
But
gosh.
really having,
That's-
100,000.
yeah, having that space is going to allow us to do this because we need space to be able to pack these boxes, whether they're the order ahead boxes, whether they're medically tailored boxes, add more hygiene items,
Yeah.
culturally relevant foods. All this requires more space. And we realized in the middle of COVID when my executive director and I walked outside and we go, we have no space. We have no space left. Where are we going
Yeah.
to do this stuff? So we said, let's do this.
Do
So
you track now? Like you talked about the technology piece. So do you track what is needed now and what is used now on a case by case or
all
or
of the food is
SKU
tracked. Every single
You know how many pounds of lettuce you needed or how many pounds of this you
Yes.
needed. Because with this, if you talking what you're talking about, if all of a sudden it's tracked through an app because somebody ordered it, the value of that technology, yeah, it's what the end
Yeah.
use of it, but it's the data. So now you know monthly we need
Right.
this much of this kind of food, this much of this kind of food. So you know how to order and what to get and what to
So
add.
we have that data now, but these are maybe some of the ordering processes that we have are based on assumption of this is
Right,
what
yeah.
everyone's want. This is going to actually give us
Hard.
that data of, well, you know what, maybe not everybody wants food A. They would prefer in the similar, like in the grains field, they really want food B, you know, jasmine rice over white rice
Right.
or brown rice. And, you know, so that's going to give us that data to bring it back in and say, okay, this is how we're going to change and we're going to adapt, get rid of that barrier of food preference, right?
Yeah. I think too, like even John Tomino talked about this and you talked about it a little bit with the peanut butter and the allergy, that it's almost from now, like the business part of me is like, that's a wasted resource. If
Exactly.
People
Yeah.
are just throwing it away, but also taking down those barriers of allowing people to have the dignity of choice. Even
Exactly.
though they're in a situation where they need to utilize a food bank or a food pantry, it's still like, you know, not this is what you get, like it or
Right.
not. Like this is allowing people to feel secure and choose and dignity.
It's real. I can tell you that when I was a kid, we grew up really poor, and there were certain times of my life when we were in our teens, early teens, that my mother got food stamps. She got assistance, and I can tell you that my brother and I talk about it a lot. Is we'd go to the store, and my mother would hand me food stamps. You have to go in the store. You have to buy stuff for food, and you have to, you know, you want to make sure you don't see anybody you know.
Right.
You've got to cash out to that cash register person. It's fucking humiliating. And we told ourselves when we were 13, 14, 15 years old, I don't care how hard I got to work, what I got to do, I'm never going to have that situation again. And my wife kind of gives me hell now because we overbuy at the store. I buy stuff I'm not going to use because I want to be able to have the choice.
Right.
Yeah, hey, you can buy that cheap steak. I'm getting the expensive steak because I can now, because it still haunts me from being a kid, having that food stamp. It's so fucking humiliating. It's unbelievable. So how do you get the dignity?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, luckily, it moved since it's
now
not
it's an
like that
EBT
stamp.
card.
It's a card. So
Right.
it looks like a credit card
Yeah.
that you're
Yep.
paying with, and
Oh my God, I would have been way better on my
right.
like,
So
Yeah.
there, the dignity is back there because it really just looks like you're paying with a credit card. And then, you know, prior to COVID hitting, probably 95% of the food pantries we work with were what we call client choice. So they had some sort of client choice, whether it was a person going in, because I've kind of experienced many of these, a person going in and literally like shopping, going, okay, here's the fruit and vegetable section, you choose, here's your grain section, here's your protein section. Sometimes it would be listed, you know, on a list and mark off the things that you want. So there was that choice. But then when COVID came, the ability to do that was really lowered. And so we're getting back into it. We're having those conversations with our partner agencies again to say, you know, we need to move back to client choice so that people really, it isn't a wasted resource because it's not helping anybody.
No.
Right.
And it's a
It's
waste
hurting.
of,
Yeah.
exactly,
If you have
it's
a
hurting.
if you have a dairy allergy and you're getting a thing of milk, like
Right.
that's not helpful.
Exactly. It's not helpful to anybody and it is a wasted resource and you know, if this person's going to get what they can eat and what they can prepare. Let's give them that. And, one of the programs that kind of was born out of COVID for us was we have a senior grocery program. So before COVID, if a senior called, we would just refer them to their local pantry.
Yeah.
So then COVID hit, and the everyday press conferences that were happening, and if you're this group and you need help, call the county at this number and this, that, and one of them was for senior citizens. So the county started getting an influx of calls from seniors saying, I am afraid to leave my house, but I have no food and I can't get to the pantry, and what am I going to do? So the county called us up and said, what can we do? So we started providing boxes of food, and let's get them food, and we're the big, huge boxes. But then slowly that feedback started coming back from us to us saying, it's too much. You're giving us too much. Like, we can't get through it all. And it's going to waste, and we don't want that. And that's the kind of feedback that we're hoping to get all the time now,
Yeah.
so that we've altered our boxes and food that we're going out. So we actually work with property management companies of low-income housing, senior housing developments, and they'll call us up, they tell us the order, we prepare the boxes, and then we drop the
Way
boxes
more
off,
efficient.
and the facilities management will go door to door. So the seniors don't have to leave, and they don't have to expose themselves maybe to things that they shouldn't be exposing themselves to. But we'll do non-perishable boxes, we'll do some like frozen protein boxes, we'll do produce boxes, but they're all smaller. And they're all foods that we think that the seniors want, and we're getting feedback, and we're all changing those boxes every month.
That's awesome.
What's your biggest challenge? So you explain this to us. You don't have a podcast to go in to talk to all these businesses and industries that you're looking for help to assist you. Why would anybody say no? Do people say no? What's the number one reason people say no?
I don't know if they
can't?
would say no, but it's more of maybe their focus is something else. And that's fine. I'm not the person that every single person should support Food Bank of CNY. I'd love it if they did, but I know that that's not realistic.
Right.
But I'm the type of person that's just like, if you're passionate about something, support it. But there's so many community partners that we have, whether they're community partners that are donating food, or, I think about the little old lady that's writing her $20 check when she gets something in the mail from us. There's thousands of people in our 11 counties that support the food bank, and we're so grateful. And without them, we wouldn't be able to, get that 17.9 million pounds of food out there. And it's those people that keep us going every single day to provide for the community. And if somebody says, well, you know what, my focus is more, a company might come in and say, well, we focus more on veterans, or we focus more on, STEM education. And, I understand. I mean, not everybody is going to want to support Food Bank of Central New York, but we're so grateful to the thousands that do.
So how many full-time employees does the food bank have?
We are currently sitting at 69, and that
Okay.
includes, I got a
Yeah.
cough again. Sorry. That includes our drivers. So we have a fleet of 14 vehicles that are out on the road every day delivering food, because people aren't coming, the programs aren't
don't
coming to
come in.
us.
You have to-
We're driving to Messina or Herkimer or Shenango counties. We're driving it to them. So our fleet is out every single day that we're delivering, and then we're picking up from all those grocers that I talked about, those retail partners. And then we have all of the people that work out in the warehouse too.
I was going to say, are those employees or they're
Yeah, nope,
volunteers?
they are employees. Everybody I'm going to talk about right now is an employee. So the warehouse, because they're on machinery, they have to be specially trained on this machinery. So we have a team of warehouse, and then we have our office staff. So there's, of course, my department. We take care of all the volunteers, the grant writing, the fundraising, the events, the public relations, and then all the forward-facing kind of pieces of the food bank. And then we have a SNAP outreach team. So we actually have 5 people dedicated to just taking calls and inquiries from individuals and families about SNAP benefits. And they can do like a couple question screening, and if they think you're eligible, they're going to help you with that application
nice.
process.
Yep.
Because, I mean, if you're a person that has low literacy skills and you have this whole 2-page application to fill out, that might be very overwhelming. So we have 5 people that are doing just SNAP outreach. We have a nutrition education team, because we also think it's important to be able to educate people about adding more fruits and vegetables into their diet, shopping at farmers markets, you know, and that type of thing. So we provide that nutrition education right there at pantries, and we'll bring healthy recipes and healthy recipe foods that people can try of that recipe and say, here, these are foods that you can get, and these are things that you can do to prepare this food in a healthy way of items that you can get from your food pantry.
Does the local farmer's market take SNAP?
So it's based on the actual individual market, but a lot of them do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
a lot of them do. So like Downtown Farmers Market, the one that's on every Tuesday in the summer. So they actually have a very high SNAP utilization. I mean, you probably think it's all people from the business community, but it's not. They have a very high SNAP utilization there. So our nutrition team is down there every Tuesday in July, August, and September.
Nice.
And they do education there. At
Yeah.
Well, it's
the
a great
downtown
place to
farmers
do it because
market.
you know the people are there, right?
Exactly. Exactly. So it's a really great program. And then for the people that are coming and they're listening, they get like an incentive for being there. It's called the CNY Health Buck from the Food Bank that we work with the New York State Farmers Market Federation. And it's a little coupon of $2 for them to go over. I just learned about blueberries. I'll just pick blueberries.
Oh, wow.
And then
Okay.
I'm going to go and I'm going to go get those blueberries from that farmer right there. The farmers love it because they sell out of whatever the produce of the week is.
So then do the farmers, who pays the farmers?
So it's the Farmers Market Federation. So they'll get these coupons.
Okay.
They submit them and then they
They
get
have
the money
rebate.
back to them.
Nice.
Yes. So it's just,
Okay.
they're just not getting the cash right
That-
there. They're
yeah,
getting the
the
coupon
coupon.
that they'll then
Yeah,
get
that
reimbursed
they
for.
reimburse.
Yeah.
Wow.
How many volunteers?
And then that was, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
volunteers.
So volunteers, right now, we currently stand at about, I'll say about 700 individual people,
Okay.
Wow.
giving more than 7,000 hours of time. But that little addition that I talked to you guys about that we're going to do, those numbers are probably going to at least double.
So, but people can go volunteer their time at the warehouse to help package
Yes.
things. They just, the machinery part needs
Right.
the employees, but there's a whole area where you
There's
pack.
yes, there's packing, there's sorting and packing that's going on, and then that mobile food pantry, the truck to trunk, we have volunteers actually meet our truck out at different community partners to help with that as well. There's lots of and there's different things that come up, you know, like events. We go to the Syracuse Nationals every year, so we have volunteers there and things like that. But the good thing about volunteerism, everything is on our website. Anything that's available for you to volunteer for is right on our website. We actually have a little portal
Which
for
Ryan will probably, I'm
volunteers.
sure will put
Do
up.
you, is there like qualifications to be, do you have to, I can't
How
just
do you
go
vet?
on there and be like, I want to volunteer at the Nationals, or you can.
Well, you can, but sometimes there's age, like to be in our warehouse.
Oh, yeah.
Because of the machinery that we have going on in there right now. We say it's 14 or older, and if you're 14 to 17, you have to have an adult with you.
Okay.
You know, there are some lifting requirements, like being able to lift 25 or 30 pounds, because food gets heavy
Yeah.
in a box.
You could lift 20.
I think you both could do it. I think you could do it.
I literally did arms yesterday, so my arms are so sore.
And I think the
But
two of you
just
need to
go-
come out and pack boxes of food
Yes.
sometimes.
I do that. I would do that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I
Yes.
I would compete on how many boxes.
Oh
I could
my God, I
totally
would
do
crush
more
you.
boxes.
Well, no,
than
no,
you.
no, no, no. It's
You're
not that kind
half
of.
my
It's not that
age.
kind of thing. You're on it like it's like an assembly
it.
line.
Okay.
It's like a. Well, we could. So we do these bags of food.
She doesn't want to lose, man. It would be really embarrassing.
If we
for
did
her.
the bags of food, you could
Yeah.
compete.
Yeah, I
Because the
could definitely
box
do it.
packing is more of a conveyor belt, and like you're going to be on potatoes and you're going to be on carrots.
Okay, okay.
But the bags of food we give to Syracuse City School District children.
Okay.
And these bags get placed in their backpacks on Friday.
Oh, nice.
So
Okay.
that there's, you know, maybe 4 to 6 ingredient, or,
Mm-hmm.
you know, items that are going to go in that bag that you could compete on.
You would. I didn't
When
do
we
well.
did
when-
John
I kicked-
Tomino's bags, you
I
couldn't keep up.
I got my ass kicked. Yeah.
Yeah.
We made homeless kits
Oh, yeah, yeah,
for
yeah.
John, and we had 15 restaurants come out. We made, I don't think, 320 kits. The
Oh, you
restaurant
know what?
owners took
I
those
think I
kits
remember
back
seeing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and handed them out. And then, you know, did you see what Brick and Brew did?
No.
So if you came in and brought so last week, if you came to the Brick and Brew and brought a case of water,
Oh, I saw
they
that,
would give you a
yes.
free draft beer, and the case of water went to John, went to In
that's
My Father's Kitchen.
awesome.
That's pretty cool.
So
And they had a
cool.
picture, and there was a ton of
Yeah,
water
ton
there.
of waters. That's so
So-
cool to see.
Yeah.
So well, I don't want to.
well, no, we're gonna ask the same question. I know we are because so now let's say financially, there's financial donations,
Right.
volunteering time.
Yes.
But restaurants in the local area, what can we do as restaurants to support the food
Do you have any
bank?
restaurants that do stuff with you now?
Yeah.
Well,
And what do they do?
one of the main things is, and I was going to talk to you about it after this.
Yeah, sweet.
So we have an event called Savor Syracuse, and Savor Syracuse has been going on for more than 20 years.
It seems like I know that term, but I don't
He
know.
just said it. Tim just said it.
Oh, that's why, because Tim Shore from Buried Acorn was
Buried
just there.
Acorn, they
Yeah.
participate every year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a food and beverage tasting event, but it's kind of ebbed and flow as an event. And what it is now is we try to get the best there. So we get about 24 wineries, breweries, and restaurants. They come, they do like a smaller portion. It's not just a sample. It's like a smaller little portion.
Like a Taste of Syracuse kind of thing?
Taste of Syracuse, but a little bit more upscale. It's at the downtown Marriott, up in the Grand Ballroom,
Fancy.
and
Great place for a wedding reception.
a great place for a wedding reception.
Will you leave him alone?
Pat's been
My partner, Pat, we've been together for a year and a half, and he
dragging
just,
his foot.
every
so.
time, not even, like, it's not like we've been together for like 10 years. He keeps every podcast telling him to
It is though. I mean,
propose.
it is a beautiful. It is a
Yes.
beautiful place. But that's a place that we're. It's
Who's some
that's-
restaurants that have participated? Who?
So Kitty Hoynes is
Yeah,
usual.
David is a great
David
guy.
is
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
I'm trying to think because I don't plan the event anymore, so you're catching me off guard. We're trying to get Buried Acorn actually because they've done beer for years. So now with their new little restaurant, we're trying to get them to do beer and food. Guadalajara is a new one
Okay.
that's going to come in
I don't
this
know
year.
them there, but
So
yeah.
Brasserie can be one.
Brasserie.
Or Emerald.
I know that's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
is that
fun.
you might want to
Okay.
do one of the two of them. If
Yeah.
because we know it's a big ask because
How do you make money on the sale of the ticket?
we sell the ticket. It's free for the vendors to come in and participate. Because sometimes they'll be like, "Oh, you come participate and there's a fee." No, it's free. But we know it's a big time commitment, and it's a cost commitment for
yeah.
that person as well. So we know
Because you
not everybody can do it.
You obviously, I mean, I know the answer, but I'm gonna say you don't, like, sometimes you get a portion of the sales. No.
No, not for this one.
Yeah,
because
no,
it's all going to come
obviously.
to the
How
food
many
bank.
people?
We last year we maxed at 400.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
It's a pretty big event. There's a lot of corporate support. We already have several of our sponsorships are gone. We always have. I always say we try to get the best. We have huge support from Wegmans and Tops, as you
Yeah.
can imagine. So they actually both participate in the event. I'm so drawing a blank on where all the food is that I had last year.
Oh. So what do you need more restaurants? Do you need more
we
sale
need-
of tickets? Do you need more?
We need restaurants. We need tickets, ticket sales because we've kind of reconfigured so that we can fit more people in the event space. But other ways for restaurants, there's been a variety of things that restaurants have done for the food bank before, where they've done picked a day and like we partner with a restaurant and like a portion of the sales, or
Oh, okay.
there's a local Instagram kind of influencer. It's very close to our event name called Savorcuse.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So she came to us and said, I want to figure out a way that I can give back. So right now actually is the first kind of partnership that she has with a restaurant where she's partnering with Sweet Praxis.
Nice.
And for the month of February, they do these red velvet bars.
God, I love those. Yeah.
So I have not had them. I got to get down there.
God, yeah.
But they're doing the red velvet bars, and a portion of the sale. So they're doing $1 per bar is going to come to the food bank.
Nice.
So it's like easy little things like
Is
that.
there a thing in the past that's been a can for a can? If you bring in a can of food, you get a can of beer?
I don't believe for us, but that's a great idea.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great idea, or a
Yeah.
can for, yeah, anything like that. There's been all sorts of like little things, but there's not one concerted effort of restaurants that has done. We've tried before in the past, like when the downtown committee has done the downtown dining weeks. We've tried a partnership with that whole, and it garnered a few donations, but it just kind of get lost in the overall messaging. So sometimes it's better to work with just one restaurant at a time, so you really can focus your social media presence on that one restaurant.
Gotcha.
But it would probably be the easiest way would be what you just said. 'Cause I know like those are restaurants that do every Tuesday, every pizza bot, we give $1 to
Yeah.
the
Right.
Baldwinsville High School.
So it
we
would
could
be
get
in-house stuff.
we could get restaurants to easily do that.
Yeah,
Pick a day and do that.
It's in-house stuff. You know, it's hard because restaurants. I know your margins
profit
are
margin's so
so
small.
small. So you know, maybe it's not even. You kind of look at that. Where is your profit margin, and how can it fit in? You know, I'm open to almost anything. You know, we.
I think we need to come up with what would be the best
I
and
got
then
a great
reach out.
idea, but I'm not going to say it on here.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm excited to hear it.
Yeah, I already know it, but
What,
I'm
you're gonna do this
nervous.
for yourself, or you want to share with the group
No.
so they can all do it?
I'm going to share it with the group.
Cool.
It's coming this September. No, I'm just kidding. I just
No,
made that up.
well, you know what? How about I say September's perfect? Because you know what September is?
What?
Hunger Action Month.
Oh, I love it. Oh my God,
Hunger
I'm so
Action Month.
happy.
Hunger
We got to
Action
be
Month.
done so I can tell you it. It just came to my brain, and I
Okay.
feel like a genius
I
right now.
love it.
And if she doesn't think of it now, 5 minutes from now, she'll forget what the
I'll
hell
forget,
she-
yeah.
She's going to be like, Lynn who? No.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm gonna be like I think it's called the Food Bank. I mean, we've been out there, and I'm like, I can remember the name today, but
So
that's
I
fine.
gotta volunteer.
We gotta go do our competition. You gotta
Yes.
take a tour. It's crazy.
I'll do that. Yes, for sure. I
Yeah.
got.
Well, and you got to come now before we do that expansion because when
Yes.
you come and do
Yeah.
the expansion, it's going to be, it's like I can't even, in my head, I'm just so excited.
Yeah, that's
So we
awesome.
reach out to you to arrange any of that?
Yeah, you can reach out to me for everything.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Amazing.
cool. We an hour in?
Yeah. Well,
Wow,
yeah.
that went really fast. That
Yeah.
hour went really
I
fast.
know.
I can
You're
talk a
so
lot.
knowledgeable. I know.
No, I don't know about that. I just talk a lot.
Yeah. Well, it makes you sound knowledgeable, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just gonna do. You want to do?
Yeah,
we
yeah.
have
So I asked a couple
question?
questions.
Sure.
One, so if you're going out, where's your favorite restaurant? Where do you live? Did you grow up in Syracuse?
I did grow up in Syracuse. I live in Westvale.
Me too. There's a lack. We got a lack of stuff
Yeah.
in Westvale.
We
with
do.
Morgan's used to be amazing over there.
Kirby's closed.
Kirby's
closed, yeah.
closed, and you know, I mean, like a tried and true for the family that we've been always. It's of course Twin Trees.
Yes.
Oh,
okay,
You know
yes,
where
yes.
I really miss?
Which trees? Avery, Milton.
I like Avery.
Okay.
I like one, but you know what? One is a childhood favorite that I really miss. S'mores.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
Oh,
Oh my
wait.
gosh! Wow. S'mores.
There's
What was
something
there?
there.
What's there now?
I think it's still open. It's called Kathy's Corner Cafe.
Kathy's Corner,
but I've
yeah.
never been there.
Oh my God! The guy that used to own it. I'll tell a story offline about
Yeah.
Dave. But they had good food there. The guy that owned it, Dave. He's probably passed now. He's no way he's listening to this. But he came from the hotel space, and he thought he was going to be. He thought he was the greatest restaurant in Syracuse. But they did really good. Him and his son worked that place. That was a long time ago. It's been closed.
Was his son Chuck?
Chuck. Yeah.
Yeah. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, and Dave was the
I
father,
can't
yeah.
think of their last name either. But
I,
yes.
I got it in my phone. I bet still.
Yeah.
So I'll
Yeah. Because
So
when
that's
we moved
cool.
back to Syracuse, we were on Tip Hill then, and we would go to S'mores. It was just like it reminded me of childhood.
That whole little area there, S'mores, Kathy's. What's the other place right in there? There's another really good place. Oh, it's a
Well,
lady's
Eva's
name.
is near there.
What's that?
Eva's. Eva's.
Eva's. That's
Yeah.
another great place.
You know, because that's
Blarney's
only-
there.
yeah.
The trees are
Blarney's
there.
up and
What's
the
the other place? There's another place, not Kathy's, but there's another place on one of the corners there. It's been there forever too. And I can't remember.
Wheeler's?
Wheeler's, yeah, Wheeler's, yeah,
Yeah.
another good place.
Yeah.
So that was my one question. The other question is, did you ever have a nickname when you were a kid, and what was it? Did you like it or not like it?
So family nickname, I was called Queenie.
Queenie, because
Queenie.
Are you the youngest?
I am the youngest of the grandchildren. My mom is youngest, and I'm the youngest of the grandchildren. And my grandmother and my aunt, specifically, my grandmother's passed, my aunt is still alive. And every once in a while, she'll throw it out there, but they used to call me Queenie, to the point that I even have a decoration of a little angel sitting on a moon, and it says Queenie that is still on my mom's
why
Christmas tree.
Queenie? Where does Queenie
Because
come
I was the queen of
Queen.
everything.
It took me 1 second to pick that up.
Because you're the youngest?
Because I'm the youngest, and I was the queen of
the
everything.
youngest of the youngest. That's
So
my
now
little,
you're smarter than me.
that's my little sister.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
Queenie.
Hannah and my
Hannah
mom's-
is the greatest waitress.
Look at even you playing it. My mom is the youngest of 11,
Yeah.
and my sister's the youngest, her youngest,
Yeah.
and she's the queen.
Queenie.
Queen bee.
Yeah, I was the queenie. Yeah.
Yep.
Queenie, I'll remember that. And then Michelle always has a great last question.
So, if people are watching this or listening and they had to take one thing away from this about you, what would you want it to be?
About me or about the food bank?
About you.
You.
You could do the food bake
I
too.
like to talk
but-
a lot. No.
Yeah,
Well, that's clear, but what? Yes.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm very passionate about our community.
Yeah.
How about this? When I grew up, I was that girl that it was like, I'm going to leave Syracuse and I'm going to move to New York City and I'm never going to come back.
Yeah.
And I stayed in Buffalo for a few years, and you know, we were fine in Buffalo, but it just some things happened, and we ended up back in Syracuse, and I cannot imagine being anywhere else and raising my son. And I hope he grows up.
How old?
He's 9.
Oh my gosh.
So
nice.
I hope he grows up and it does the same thing. Like I want him to spread his wings, and if he lands elsewhere, I'm going to be happy for him. But if he comes back, I'm going to love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it.
Yeah.
And then about the food bank, you know, the food bank we're here, we're part of this community, we're thankful for the support. And if people need food help, that's what we're here for. And to not be ashamed or feel demoralized by it, because it's the thousands of people that support us are thousands of people that are supporting people that are in need of food. They're not, I mean, they're supporting the food bank, but they're supporting those individuals that need food. So remember that we care, we want you to have that food so that you can thrive in our community.
Cool.
Good
I
answer.
love that. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank
we
you
really
so
appreciate
much. It was
it.
great
Yeah.
meeting
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anytime I can fill an hour.
Yeah. This might be the
Easily,
first
easily.
time that a guest has actually talked more than me in 16 episodes, clearly.
the fucking move.